Hi, it's Alexis Ann. Last night, my first draft ladies and I did a 48-minute chat on the process of planning your novel, plotters versus pantsters, because they're two very different methods at approaching how to bring together characters and plots. And so I wanted to do just a quick follow-up on some of the things we talked about this morning to really solidify some thoughts that I had from last night. In the background, I have Pharrell's Happy playing. It's a great song to motivate you to get writing if you're having trouble. I don't know how you can not be happy listening to this song. So if you hear it in the background, that's what it is, because I don't want to get up and turn it off. We named a few different techniques. Whether you're a plotter or a pantster, these are things that can help you identify the problems in your characters or in your plot. One of them is Michael Haig, and he has a website. It is storymastery.com. He has sheets. It's the method that Tracy was talking about during our chat last night. So visit storymastery.com. Look in Google for other videos and images that they have online all about his technique and how to help plot your novel. The other thing that we mentioned was the Blake Snyder beat sheet, aka Save the Cat method. Mary Chris uses it from time to time, and I have started using it to identify problems in my plot before I really sit down and start working on the meat of what I'm working on. I love the beat sheets because it identifies all of those important things about your character and your plot that are what you expect inside. Especially if you read a lot, watch a lot of TV, or watch a lot of movies, you'll probably notice that you know when something is coming up because we all generally use the same pacing, I guess, is what I'm looking for here. If you have trouble with pacing, you may really like the beat sheets and the Save the Cat method because there are turning points at certain places. There are surprises that come out of nowhere at certain places. The character realizes something about themselves, and they all generally take place in the same order at the same time throughout a story. And the Blake Snyder beat sheets help you identify what things you need to know about your characters and where in your plot these things need to happen. You don't have to follow it, and you don't have to follow it completely. But what I do is I get out the beat sheet and I write out everything that you're supposed to know at each point, and then wherever the holes are, obviously I don't know what's supposed to happen there. And even if I'm not planning out every single thing, then I can start kind of working in the back of my mind and go, oh, okay, I don't know where character B is going to realize what he was supposed to be doing with his life, what's going to be the catalyst for that realization that's going to drive us into the end of the plot. So I can start working on that in the background. I really like the beat sheets. The other thing that was mentioned is the snowflake method. I know nothing about it, but I'm going to be looking it up. One of our viewers last night mentioned it in the comments in the chat, so I'm really interested to go look up the snowflake method and see what that is. The other thing that was mentioned to us was Conflict and Suspense by James Scott Bell. I will also be looking that up. Thank you all for the advice that and the conversation that got going. We have never done the comments before, and we couldn't figure out where they were. Julia was getting them because she was hosting the chat, but the rest of us were kind of trying to stay on air at the same time that we were looking at stuff, and now we know where it is. So for our next chat, we can be a little bit more interactive. One thing that we did mention was SpringPad. That was the app that I showed in the middle of it with all of the pictures on it. It's kind of like if Pinterest and Twitter and Google Docs had like a baby, it would be SpringPad. What's really cool about it also is that you can invite collaborators. So, for instance, the anthology that we're all working on is, the notebook is open to every author who's working on the anthology, and we just add stuff to it all the time, and it's fun. So I think it's a great tool, whether you're collaborating with someone or a critique partner who maybe wants to send you ideas, or just, I keep it on all my devices. I have a Droid phone, and I have the SpringPad app on it, and then I have an iPad, which I have the SpringPad app on also, so it doesn't matter where I am or what I'm doing. I can add ideas to what I'm working on. The last thing from last night, I think we all mentioned it, and one of our viewers mentioned it also, is we get lost in the middle of our stories sometimes, especially when we're working it out still. What I have to say about this is that means you have a good idea of what your characters are, and you have an idea of the kind of story you want to tell. but you maybe haven't identified what their full arc is, because your character needs to change from who they are at the beginning to who they are at the end. Or if you're a more plot-driven writer, then there has to be some sort of moment in the middle of your story where everything changes. Everything that they thought they knew up until that point, it kind of gets thrown up in the air, and everything has to change in order for the characters to drive through to the end of the story, to discover themselves, to discover whatever the purpose is to your story. So you want to look into your transitional moments. You want to look for what is it that's going to change your character and how they're going to be changed by that. Or if you're plot driven, how is the story going to be changed and drive it through the end of the story. Really concentrate on that, and then look at what action will lead to that and how the characters will change through that, and it might help you work through that muddly middle, because it's really easy to start at the beginning and be like, I have these great characters and these great things are going to happen to them, and then you get to the end and you know how you want them to end, but how do you get from point A to point B? So you need to look at the motivations, the transitions, and how each of them are changed. Thank you all for joining us last night for our first draft chat series, Plotters versus Pantsters. I had so much fun that I'm still on a high. Our next chat is looking like it's going to be April 1st, another Tuesday at 8:15 p.m., and we are going to be discussing how we use music in our writing process, in our characters, and all things music. So please join us then.